Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 499. If you're writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you need some help finishing it, or perhaps you're at the stage where you need help reaching more readers to let them know about your book, you are in the right place. Good morning, happy Sunday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 19 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely sees themselves as a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. And once again, good morning. Happy Sunday, as we do here every Sunday. It is Sunday story time on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I grab a book from my bookshelf, whether it's one of my own books, a client book, or a book that's impacted me in some way or is impacting me. Sometimes I share some of the books that I have in progress, always quite a few. As authors, you ever notice that? To keep finding books with bookmarks in the car, around the house. Did I start that? When did I start that book? Am I going to finish it? Books everywhere. Anyway, the book I've grabbed from the shelf it's a really good one, especially for 2020. This is why I grabbed it. I think we all need to read this one. It's called The Stress Switch: The Truth About Stress and How to Short Circuit It by Dr. Amy Serin, S-E-R-I-N. Great book here. So I'm going to read an excerpt from a section called Venting. In one episode of the television show Sex and the City, the main character, Carrie, goes through a painful split with her boyfriend, Mr. Big, and ends up carrying around breakup baggage as a result of the emotional messiness. Unfortunately for her friends, Carrie dumps her mess on them in the form of talking to them about Mr. Big incessantly. Finally, when they aren't able to take it anymore, her friends come together in an intervention and refer her to a therapist, telling her, "We need you to see a doctor because we just can't do this anymore. We love you as our friend, but we cannot be your therapists." It's a funny episode, but with a good point. When you are venting about something stressful in your life excessively and not within the normal short-term boundaries of, I had a crummy day today, what you are really doing is bringing that stress into the relationship with your friends. There's a common misbelief that excessive venting is somehow cathartic, even healthy. People encourage it. If you're angry, beat up on a pillow, you'll feel better. Or if your partner cheats on you, go take it out on a punching bag. This doesn't work. Neither does any kind of violence when you're upset work. Venting or swinging violently at an innocent object actually has the opposite effect, strengthening the neural connections around the sympathetic activation in your brain from your stress. In other words, it causes you to dig your heels in deeper, cement your upset, and lock in your selfish, stressed out, upset perspective about it. For instance, the more Carrie vented to her friends about how wrong Mr. Big was in the breakup, the more her brain was memorizing, "I'm right, he's wrong, and I'm entitled to be upset about it." In turn, her body was cementing neural networks to create a memory based on that perspective, perpetuating a continual stress response around it, to the point where she literally became unable to stop obsessing about it. What she thought was normal post-breakup venting was, in fact, keeping her in a perpetual stress loop. While Carrie Bradshaw is a fictitious character, everyone knows real people who do this to themselves every day. They are addicted to their perpetual stress loops. They just can't wait to talk to people about all the things they're upset about, and they may not be able to think about anything else. We've all been there. I admit that I've been guilty of this behavior in the past, too, so I see both sides of the story. When it's you doing the venting, it feels like you must relieve this burden from your mind. You're obsessively going over what has happened, whether to make sense of it or make peace with it. You're hurting, you're upset, you're betrayed, you're angry, you want emotional relief. You seek people to empathize with what you're going through. You want them to validate and collude with you, taking your side, quote unquote, so you don't have to fight this imagined battle for survival alone. But here's the problem. As long as your stress switch is cranked up high like that, your lizard brain is running the show. And all venting does is ensure that you'll stay in the state for even longer and re-experience it more times than necessary. When your stress switch is on in a state like this, the irony is that your health and survival may not depend on you finding yet another sympathetic ear, but rather on you finding a hack to break the loop that has you seeking the ear in the first place. And that again was excellent book here, The Stress Switch, The Truth About Stress and How to Short Circuit It. If you think you understand what stress is, read this book. You will be surprised. And it's like neuroscience and explained in a very, very accessible way, very digestible. So you get to feel smart while you're reading it too. The Stress Switch by Dr. Amy Sarin. And I think that's going to be today's study question is get yourself a copy of this book. I see a lot of stress happening all over the internet, all over social media. And I think this is going to be very enlightening and informative for a lot of people, just so you can, the better we understand ourselves, we know this as writers, but certainly the better we understand ourselves and our brains and our bodies and how they operate, I think we can all agree. The more we understand it, the better we can operate. So this really teaches you just at the nitty-gritty level in your brain and your body how stress works, because once you understand how it works, you can control it a heck of a lot better. The Stress Switch by Dr. Amy Sarin. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. Be sure and drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook for motivation, accountability, book writing, publishing resources, and so much more. Until tomorrow, happy writing.